Evening. Say what you need to say. This is Primetime Live at Love 97, Thompson Boulevard. This is Primetime. Say good evening, and I want to say before I begin the show, I want to wish. I'll start my show by wishing the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram. I want to wish him good health and speedy recovery. He's a great Bahamian. He'll go down as a great Bahamian. And in times when he's not feeling well, I wanna wish him a speedy recovery and good health in reference to whatever health trials and tribulations he's going through. Places say, "Oh, you can't do that because you was questioning his judgment all the time and all the decisions he make." But in time of health challenges, we must be considerate. And he is a great human and a great father and parent. So we have to salute and acknowledge and commend him that we wish him the best from Primetime and myself and the crew who make it happen every day at the station. So I want to say good evening to him and best wishes on his recovery. Now, our banner sponsor tonight, the City of Hope, as usual. That's the former Cancer Society of America. Listen, Global Insurance, that's Tina and Crew. Those outside the port for all the insurance need. That's Tina and Crew, 601-0006. 601-0006 for all the insurance need as residential, commercial, industrial, mental health, whatever you need in insurance. Global Insurance got you. 601-0006. Nagico Insurance, that's the chief insurance company. That's Global is underwriter for them. That's Nagico on Shirley on Mackey Street, right next to the Salvation Army. The prettiest building on Mackey Street. That's the green and white building right after you pass Salvation Army. It's a pretty building there. That's Nagico Insurance. That's the parent company of Global. For all your insurance need, let them have the stress finding the best price and giving you the correct insurance that you want or deserve. Vinton Barbershop. You need a private cut, graduation time, plenty ceremonies are happening, plenty churches, plenty funeral. Listen, go pay Vinton a visit on Infinite Road, right opposite the Magistrate Court on Nassau Street. Tell Vinton you heard his ad on Primetime and Independent Thinker. You go get a perfect cut. Tell him give you the best price. Rasta Grains and things on Nassau Street. This the weekend. Treat yourself. Some fish, some salad, some natural juices. Guarantee you'll feel better on Monday. And time to go back to work. Tonight, my co-host is inside. He's here majority of the times, and we back and forth on different issues. He's a sympathizer of the Free National Movement. I'm a sympathizer of the DNA. So he's in the studio with me this evening. We have a chat on some of the issues. The budget is going, July 1st, the budget become law, and so the budget has to be completed and passed through the Senate and ascended by the Governor General before July 1st to become law on July 1st. And some interesting things are inside there, some goodies for the Bahamian people, and some things that some people, or at least the opposition, are making some fuss about. But I will deal with some of them as they come around. I have plenty of information in reference to plenty things, and some things need to be maybe spoken in a literal term so that the ordinary citizen can understand. But Primetime is live on Love 97.5 right now, and we're going to begin the show in earnest. Good evening, Mr. Johnson. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, Mr. Johnson also, and pleasure to be here with you another Thursday evening, and good evening, Bahamas, and I trust everyone is doing well.
I want to start the show by saying some things that I like your opinion, and you can respond when I put it out. Especially one, is it time in 2024, June 20th, 2024, for the government to ban the importation of used tires? And I'm going to list Because plenty person never maybe ever take the time to really think of the advantages and disadvantages of used tires, right? See, I spoke about used tires some years ago on my show. Some years, I've been on the radio 14 years, and some years ago I spoke about it. Because plenty persons, Bahamians doing one or two of my friends, they sell used tires. So I just left it alone, but I know it's not a good thing for the country. And I was encouraging them behind the scenes to slowly move to buying new tires, find a supplier in the States or in China or wherever they get new tires from, and begin bringing used tires and slowly cut out the used tire, right? But I didn't want to hinder their business, so I don't talk about it as much. But it's not good for the country. Tires when it's placed at the dump, it gives off a numerous amount of different chemicals as a result of the material that it's made from. That's number one. So when you put it on the landfill has a water table under it also, and the chemicals are seep through when it rains or however, over a period of time when it deteriorates. So the chemicals enter into the water system. But you do the same thing from new tire also. But lately, in the last few years, in the last 6-7 years, the used tire industry has been hijacked by a majority foreign nationality persons like Nigerians and specifically Africans. They take over the used tires industry. And not only that, they're selling almost the price of a used tire for a new tire. But plenty women in this country, ladies and men, aren't aware that when you buy a used tire, whatever problem the person had with that used tire, you end up catching it to your car. And you may wonder, how come all of a sudden your car start to swing to one side and start to pull, if you let the wheel go, you'll run into one pole or run into the bush or run across the road, hit another car. That's because whatever problem that used tire, the person car that came off, you inherited that, and it begins to slightly throw your vehicle out of line because the tire is leaning to one side or leaning inward or has an egg or whatever, and it causes your car to adopt that particular problem. That's the biggest problem with the tire, other than the chemical draining in the water table at the dump or wherever these tires are. They catch mosquito, and plenty some of the tires that come are in a condition where they even can't use, but they are so cheap, like they're paying about $3 for them, and they stock 3-4 tires in one tire. So if customers not vigilant, they end up blindfolding the custom officers because they have like 4 and 5, 6 tires in one tire. They put a smaller one in the next size and a smaller one in that size, and that's how they count one tire when it's 8 tires in one tire or 6 tires, 7 tires in one tire. So I think the government, in my humble opinion, I will write this down in my notebook, and at the end of the year I will check and see if any headway has been made for one of those third countries practice that this Bahamas need to move away from, and that's the first one, used tires. Just allow them to sell what they have, ban used tires importation coming in, and then encourage, even offer incentives like offering persons who have tire shop, Bahamians, offer them loans from BOB or maybe the relevant bank where they can get their first 40-foot container or 2 40-foot containers of new tires. And there's, some persons monitor it where they pay the bank pay directly to the supplier and bring in new tires, and you empowering Bahamian and you slowly moving them away from this used tire practice. Because it's not a good thing for this country. And the next one is the exportation of copper. Plenty persons are complaining that their air conditioning unit is still there, but the wire would run from it missing. The copper that runs the line, the transfer, the cool air into in the establishment or home is gone. Because why? The price for copper is high, right? And we don't produce copper, so why are we allowing people to export copper? They thief the wires from our PVC poles, the copper wire. They move that to sell for scrap. So ban the exportation of copper. Ban, right? You have to get a special approval for every inch that you want to export, that someone from the Ministry of Inland Revenue or the police or some have to verify. Few agencies have to verify in order for the export. So we can end that, and we'll end that particular struggle. If you remember when, some years ago, the former member of Parliament of Blue Hill, Leslie Osborne Miller, when they had the Robin Hood on Harrod Road, they ended up losing all the wires and the copper. They told me they stripped them, and he made noise for it. And I thought at that particular time, they was ban exportation of copper, but in 2024, we still allowing third world practices to continue in the Bahamas. And we always talking about first world status. You can't reach by continuously allowing this type of unnecessary stress on the black poor people in this country to continue with these US tire and exportation of copper. Mr. Johnson, I had to put that on the record because I spoke about that some years ago, and it continues like no one listening or no one care. And we understand that majority of the places who have power in the country, either they ride a government plate or they are rich to afford to tithe, so they don't care. But that's one part of the stress, that percentage of stress that the Indians, ordinary citizens in this country who are struggling, is added, and if that can be removed, it's a plus. But I want to start the show by talking about the budget. But I just had to put that particular statement in. Some things in the budget, and if you hear that producer, engineer, you have the sound bites that the producer sent you? Yeah. Okay, I have some sound bites that I need to play, 1 or 2 or 3 of them, in reference to some statements that were made in the House Assembly. I want to play the first one with, you ready? You ready yet? Ain't ready yet. Okay. A statement was made in the House Assembly where, during the budget debate, where one of the government ministers, right, stated that in 2020, right, the government at the time divest this country of all the shares on the international market in the United States from the companies that was purchased by National Insurance, stocks that the Bahamian people benefit over the years from the dividends where National Insurance had invested, right? Like Amazon, Wells Fargo, Facebook, and so on, Proxy and Gamble, and all these valuable companies, Fortune 500 companies. The Free National Movement in 2020 divest National Insurance of all those, sell off all the stocks. And in 2024, the Bahamian people now is finding out that the investment, the very profitable investment that over the years that National Insurance made, the whole bundle was divest. The stocks were shell off. And a very, very valuable question was asked: who these stocks were sold to? Were they sold to persons who now have them, a individual, or they would sell back to the company that had owned all these different shares? And it appears to be some 35 or 40 or 50 companies. Because the minister, you have the one, can you play the one with the minister from Honorable Keith Bell? Can you play that for the Bahamian people, let them hear some of the things that happened under the Free National Movement in 2020. The Bison making a bad, worthless, and dumb decision about divesting all the stocks, valuable stocks. And I'll speak after the soundbite. Go ahead.
Insurance and BPL. Madam Speaker, it behooves me,
Yeah, it behooved.
behooves me, how they could have sold off all the American foreign assets in national insurance
What?
in 2020.
Gee.
Sold them off.
What you mean?
And I can tell you what it is. I can tell you what it is. I have the document right here. This year, Madam Speaker, you know, the Honourable Miles Neroda and Alfred Sayers came and they explained the situation with national insurance and the need to increase contributions, the need to look at the fund, the need to see what it is we're doing. Well, national insurance have an investment portfolio, and the idea of it's $1 billion fund, and the idea is to continue with investments to ensure that there's a return on your investment to prop up the fund
Yes.
to meet obligations,
Yes.
pension and unemployment, etc., etc.
That's
But
right.
they go on, Madam Speaker, and sell all the American foreign assets. Let me tell you what it is. You all should know, you all do it.
I'm telling you right now. Listen.
I'm going to table this, Madam Speaker.
They stripped
But I want they just strip NIB and nobody know.
Gone.
They know. Gone.
My God. 2019.
Madam Speaker, in 2020,
Gone.
the National Insurance Board made the decision to dispose of its entire portfolio of shares in American companies, a move that in hindsight appears to have been short-sighted and financially detrimental. National Insurance Board owns shares in Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Cisco. Let me just list. Let me read this, Madam. I got enough time.
Energy. Yeah.
Let me read this.
40 minutes.
My God.
Listen to this. Amazon, American Electric, American Tower Corp, Apple, Boston, Berkshire Hathaway, BlackRock, Book Holding, Chevron, Church and Dwight, Citigroup, Cisco, Coca-Cola, Comcast, Cosrite Wholesale, Duke, Facebook,
My goodness. That's it.
General Electric, Home Depot, where all these go?
Making all kind of money.
JP Morgan, listen to this.
JP Morgan and all you said.
Marsh and McLennan, Laboratory Corporation, McCormick, the spice and everything, Pfizer, Philip, Procter and Gamble, all these companies, Wells, and even Wells Fargo.
Oh, man.
Madam Speaker, I can table this. Now, let me tell you, I could in a moment, not yet.
It's going to be tabled.
Let me say this. Madam Speaker, but let me tell you the significance of this. Let me tell you the significance of this, right? The market data, listen to this. The market data since then shows a significant appreciation in the value of all of the shares, indicating that the decision led to considerable loss of the fund. The portfolio contains shares in some of the world's leading companies, as I've said, reflecting the high quality of the investments held. For example, Microsoft Corporation has experienced remarkable growth. On July 1st, 2020, Microsoft stock was valued at $206. As of June 2024, Microsoft shares are trading at $330, a 67% increase. Another noteworthy company is Amazon. On July 1st, 2020, Amazon shares were valued at $2,890 each. You can imagine that? As of June 2024, it's $3,500 per share. And we own thousands and thousands and thousands of shares. This thing gave headache. You know, Madam Speaker, as I did this, I had to stop several times to just lay down and take a break. Right? Madam Speaker, Alphabet Inc., the parent company of Google, is another major player in the portfolio. When they sold the shares, they were valued at $1,435. The shares today are valued at over $2,500 each. Additionally, the portfolio included shares in all the other companies, as I said, Madam Speaker, all of which they sold them all off. And while they answered the decision, I'm also curious as to who they sold them to.
You know just who said that. If you lie back and love that he said, well, this is Primetime and independent thing. The soundbite you heard just now was during the budget debate. in your House of Assembly. That was the Minister of, I think it's Housing, the Honorable Keith Bell. And he was the messenger for that particular message. And it was news to me, I must tell you. Some of you are being too close to some of these FNM politicians might be aware and might have known this that happened. It was news to me. So I thought it was some of the persons who like me, who are unaware of that, maybe didn't know that all the American investment that National Insurance had made. And see, with investments like that, what happened is the dividends you get paid at intervals, so maybe every 6 months, every quarter, every year. That's what National Insurance was using to help continue the unemployment benefit, pension, debt money, and all that, the burial and stuff. So we have none of that now. The Free National Movement didn't sell none of the buildings back to the government when they could sell them and use it and pay off national insurance with all these buildings that the government, that different governments, successive governments had built. Like the one on Thompson Boulevard, where the initial contract was 5.6 million. When the building finished, courts paying people some 30 million. No one lock up, no one go to jail. Right? The building at Foxhill, at Sandlets, would have cost some, I think, 6.9 million. When it finished, cost some 29 million. No one go to jail, no one get locked up, no nothing. This guy did what National Insurance was funding, buildings like that. And they ain't buying none of them back. They sell off the valuable shares in the United States. What a shame. Gotta be a curse on that party in reference to the things they do to the black people in this country. I was saying good evening to Mr. Nolan again. And I want, based on what you heard and what happened during the divesting of valuable
Just say the budget debate.
shares.
Just say
During the budget debate, what do you
Good.
hear? Okay,
Just say the budget debate.
that was the budget debate, okay. Go ahead, I was doing the budget debate.
Oh, I thought you had something.
I asked you
I thought
what
you had,
you want to say.
I thought you had something else to
No, go
bring
ahead.
forward.
Go ahead.
First of all, let me say to you, a budget debate is nothing more than a budget debate. Whether it's realistically a true and reasonable and sensible budget, nonetheless, that's all it is. How realistic that budget can operate and service the country it should, it's still only a budget debate. But first of all, let me say this. Based on what the minister said in terms of the companies, from what I heard, basically they're all Fortune 500 companies. Each and every one of those companies has a portfolio. What do I mean by a portfolio? The creation of its existence to trade on the stock market. That portfolio outlines the millions or the amount of shares that it has. That portfolio also, I'm talking common shares first. It also would list the amount of preferred shares and preferential shares, unless it cannot go. All of these things have to be made known to the public before it can trade day one on the US Stock Exchange. Must be. That's by law. So, when you as an individual or a company decides to buy shares in a company, when you buy shares in a company, you buy shares based on the portfolio of that company, whether or not you may not even be the first one to receive dividends as the company earns money. Because those persons who have preferential stocks will get paid before you. If that company goes belly up, they get paid before you. You're the last one to get paid. As a common shareholder, you're the last one to get paid. So this presupposition that they sold all those shares could have been common stocks, because if they were preferential stocks, they would have been paid their dividends before the common stock is paid. I repeat, they would have been paid before people who own common stocks were paid. If the company goes belly up, the people will be paid differently than the common stockholders. And the cost of those shares would even be greater. We don't fully understand the terminology in which he spoke about what the stocks was traded on at one point in time and what is being traded today.
No.
No, don't tell me no yet.
Okay.
Don't tell me no. I'm saying I didn't hear him say on his on the soundbite you just played. I did not hear him say what I just explained to you. Didn't say it. You only said, oh, well, you know, at this point it was this, and at this point it was this. That's all I heard. And what I'm saying to you is, you need much more information than that to convince me that if you got rid of those shares, basically that was a bad investment to get rid of them. And first of all, or second of all, they're within their portfolio. Even if you're a common shareholder, you may not have the right to sell your stocks to who you want to sell it to. There might be something in that clause to say you have to sell it back to the company first. So this thing about who gets it or who didn't get it is immaterial, because that's not in the light of the way that kind of business is done.
I'd say this, right? Before we take our first commercial.
And I wish I have someone out there to refute what I'm
Someone
saying.
on the line already. Before I take this call, right? I must say something. The minister clearly stated that the stocks, example, for Amazon, the stock in 2020 when the stock was sold at June, was $2,000. The value of the stock, one share, was $2,890.
Was that common or preferred stocks?
No, he never said that.
That's the
But
point
you
I'm
don't need to
making.
say that.
But you need to say it
You
because
don't
the
need to say
people
that.
that know. He
He
needs
only
to
said
say it.
what
No,
the- he
listen.
said- listen.
But
Let me
which
take his call.
stocks?
Let me take his call.
Which stock are you talking about, though?
It's the issue with
Oh,
common
yes, it
and
must
preferred
be.
stock. It's only an issue when the FM try to tell you go buy stock by the port. Let me answer this call.
Okay.
Right down in the building.
Okay.
Right down in the building.
Yes, what that gentleman is saying is 10 million% correct. When you have shares, you have the preferred, and then you have the ordinary or common
Yeah, but
shares.
call up before you go any further. That's not an issue. Ain't nobody worrying about the preferred shares. The issue was the F&M sold the shares June 2008, $2,890 was the value June 2020 when F&M sold it. Today, June 2024, them same stock is valued $3,500. That's the issue. Preferred shares and common shares, that's a red herring. What brought up to distract.
No, it's
That
not.
issue.
It's not.
Go ahead, Gollum.
It's not.
Go ahead,
It's
call
not,
it.
it's not a red. Call it, give me a minute. It's not a red. Call it, give me a
Yeah,
minute.
go ahead. I
It's
want to
not-
hang up for it.
Okay, go ahead.
If a person has shares, right, and they're sold, what you have to find out is what they were, why they sold them, and what is the preferred and the common shares at that point.
Don't worry about the common shares now. Whatever the shares the Bahamas government through national insurance own was sold. That's all we worry about. We ain't worried if it's common or because it don't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference if it's common or preferred. They were all sold under the free national movement. The whole asset of those shares was sold.
Remember, the preferred shares carry more than the common shares.
But we ain't worrying about that. That's not an issue. We ain't worrying about that. We're not worrying about what which shares they were. That's not an issue. You worry about that when you purchase in the shares. Which shares you buying, preferred or common. I'll give you an example. The former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Alexander Ingram, encouraged Bahamians when the FNM was in power to go out to Awaki and buy shares through CFI for Awaki Port. They were common shares. He never allowed, based on my understanding, Bahamians, the ordinary Bahamians, to purchase preferred shares when the FNM was in power. If you had bought preferred shares, you would have been a part of the 21 families who put $1 million and guaranteed 10% interest on their $1 million every year. And if the Awaki port doesn't make the $1 million, doesn't make the amount of money to pay the 21 families, Mr. Ingram and the F&M put in the agreement that the Bahamas government treasury, yes, your money, what you pay tax, will pay the 21 families. That's what preferred shares are. The shares that persons who went out there running out, oh, I get my share, I get my chance, get my share. Their $3,500 share was getting them like $80 a year. Then you could use that $3,500 you spend for them shares, you could take that, buy a hot dog stand, and sell more hot dog to make $120.
Yeah, but what I'm
Right. So I know what common shares and preferred shares were. We ain't talking about that's no issue. I talk about that tonight. I talk about them selling the shares.
No. I can't let you get away with that.
What?
No, I won't let you get away with that.
Hold on, man.
No.
Let me hang up. Let me hang up first.
I won't let you.
Complete and then hang up. I go. I can come to Mr. Johnson. Hang up.
Call I wish you just hold. I would not allow you to get away with that.
With what?
About it doesn't matter what kind of shares, what kind of stock.
No, we ain't worrying about that. But the issue with the minister,
I'm saying to you is when you say there's no need to worry about the quality of shares once purchased. I'm saying that makes no sense because the cost of each one will
I
be
won't be
different.
distracted about common shares and because that ain't the issue.
No, but
the issue was never that.
No,
Mr. Bell said.
Listen, I know what Mr. Bell said.
Hold on.
I know Mr. Bell said.
Mr. Bell said at the time when the Free National Movement sell the shares, they was valued at $2,890. June this year, 4 years later, it's valued $3,500.
You're bringing me to the port in the Bahamas.
I was giving an example
Listen to me
about common shares.
I need you to listen. I need you to listen. You're bringing me to a port in the Bahamas that does not operate under the same guideline and restriction the New York Stock Exchange operates under. And you are telling me that for the sake of an argument and what you don't care and what you don't think is right or wrong, that it doesn't matter what quality of shares they are. And like I explained to you, when a portfolio from a company is put to the public, one of the first things it has to disclose is what you would call, what do you want to say, it's the operating mandate and the number of shares, whether it's common, preferred, preferential, etc., etc. It has to be stated. Also, in that portfolio will tell you, if you own stocks, that before you can sell your stock to anyone, you have to give the company who issued your stock the first option to buy it back. That's the same company too, if business gets good, that will offer what they call a split. So if you have 1,000 stocks, they'll give you 2,000 for it, saying now, okay, rather than paying you dividends, they may give you more stocks. Independently, let me tell you something. This is an area right there with stocks and bonds and that kind of stuff. I'm more comfortable with that than playing tennis. So when you tell me about it doesn't matter, it really matters.
Man, I tell you, it doesn't
in the
matter.
American market, it matters.
Give me a chance.
In the American market, it matters.
I ain't gonna waste time on that.
What you mean?
No one said, man, I ain't come to the store.
But you shouldn't come
I'm negotiating.
Don't come in the 8x10 room.
Why don't you listen? You can listen.
Do not come in the 8x10 room and don't speak truth to the truth.
So what I'm saying is true.
What I'm saying to you is
true.
It should matter what stocks you purchase.
No, that's not an issue because I ain't talking about that. I'm not talking about the
But you're talking about the stocks.
I'm talking about the Honorable Minister said. The Honorable Minister brings to the Assembly a document saying what the value when the F&M sell it and what the value is today.
So they're talking about divestment.
Let me take my commercial break. This is Primetime with the better thing. We're gonna come back right after the break and continue our conversation on the issue on our Assembly.
Cancer. It's a word no one wants to hear. But at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we hear it every day. It's a word we've dedicated our lives to overcoming by changing the way patients are treated. And now we're part of City of Hope, which is one of the nation's top 10 cancer hospitals. Together, we'll combine leading-edge clinical research with precision cancer treatment so we can be there when you need us most. So when you hear the word cancer, there's another word that should come to mind. Hope. Call now.
Back live with the Great Show 1197. This is Primetime with Independent. My name is Marlon Owen Johnson. Listen, the conversation slightly shifted, but I ain't gonna go down that road of things because the minister didn't give that information. The Free National Movement Administration never tell the Bahamian people if it was common stock or preferred stock or preferred shares or whatever. They never tell. They didn't want the people know that. If they wanted the people to know that, they would tell that, hey, excuse me, that we are selling these stock that are common shares, or we are selling these stock that are preferred shares. The Free National Movement Administration never cared or wanted the people to know. I must make that clear so that the conversation don't go down that road and waste time. You only allow an hour and a half. I don't want to carry the board on that again. Prime down, independent nigga.
Independent nigga?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's going on? But I was on a previous show today that they say the central bank told them to divest, government would divest all of its international shares. And they say it was the central bank that made them do it. They don't worry about keep them trying to get little brownie points, you know. They gave them citizenship in the church Saturday.
So you think, hold on, caller. You think it was a good idea that the government, that the Free National Movement sold all those valuable stocks?
No, it would be a good idea, but if the central bank telling them doing it, they probably have to do it. Like same with the gentleman trying to tell you, educate you on something right there.
No. He ain't trying to educate me on that. Because, I know that hey, hold on, let me put you on hold. No. Hold on. Let me put you on hold. Let me tell you something. He ain't educating me on those stocks. Because I know what common, I just gave you a prime example what common shares and what preferred shares are. I gave you a perfect example, a literal example that happened when the Free National Movement was in power. With Awaki and Hubert, the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingham. Yeah. So I know what that is. I know what common shares and preferred shares. That what he was saying to me was distracting me from the issue. Was it a bad idea? Again, by the Free National Movement, like Telco is a bad idea. Our water and sewage with consolidated water is a bad idea. They divest all the valuable stocks that national insurance get dividends every year from the Fortune 500 companies of the United States. Was it a bad idea or a good idea? What say you?
Okay, let me ask you this. Independent.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this then. You say the stock was costing $2,000 a stock, right?
No, it took $2,890, and now it values $3,500.
So what if it dropped to $800 then?
Then we was gonna lose. Then we was gonna lose money on the value of the stocks.
Oh, you don't know. I mean, you would have thought stop that then? You come in Parliament and say that?
He might,
People lose up all the money on shares then?
right, he might not do
That's
it.
why the central bank might be telling them, get out of that then.
Right, and that might, listen, you might believe it, call, you might believe it, that might be a good idea they did that, you know. But I'm only asking opinion, was it a good idea? Because, you know, hindsight 2020. So if someone could have seen that, hey, in June 2024, this same stock will value 3,500, Mister, don't get rid of that. You couldn't see that. So they made a jump, but they get rid of all. They ain't like they said, we'll pick out the strongest set. They have for them sell all, divest on all the stocks. So the Bahamian people,
the stock drop, and then the company lose, then who taking that losses then? Huh?
we will tell like how they lend millions of dollars to Bahamians in this country. 23 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. Listen, they lend money to plenty of people in this country and the Bahamians to pay from Bank of the Bahamas. And plenty of people ain't paid back. So, you know, don't worry about the money part of it like that. In that manner. Because if the money was the issue why they for them did that, they could go collect the money back from the people who the Bank of the Bahamas lend money to. Millions of dollars. So I don't think the money was the issue. They did everything that the Bahamian people, in my humble opinion, and you check the track record of the decisions that were made, and I could bring them down and tell them tomorrow morning, keep on talking about them and naming them, right? And you check them one by one. You can't just defend. I said DNA. I wrote DNA in 2012, DNA in 2017. So I know PLP and I know F&M. I don't hide that. I ain't voted last election. I ain't ashamed to say that. But I can tell you this. I would have said, keep the strongest set of stock. That's me. I ain't the prime minister. I ain't no minister. I ain't got no say in this country. But me personally, with a limited knowledge of stocks and bond, preferred shares, and common shares, I would say, listen, these strong stocks, they bring in dividends, check what they paid us over the years, and calculate that, and make a decision based on that. Why so persons who do it every day, like on the stock brokers, on the stock market. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Is the caller still on?
Yeah, next
Yeah,
caller.
nice and
Right
long,
down
no
in the bend nigga. This is a different caller.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, you're live.
Hi, how are you?
You're live.
Great, and the other gentleman.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I heard you, and thanks for the education on the different stocks and whatever have you. But to me, I don't care whatever stocks they are. The point is, why would you? Why would you sell these stocks?
That's all I ask.
That's all. Because the central bank said so, or advised for them to do so.
And they sell all.
To me, and these are, when I heard Mr. Bell riddle off those companies, those top, I mean, Amazon was one of the only companies that was making millions and millions of dollars during the COVID.
During the pandemic. One of the richest companies.
I don't understand. To me, it was the company that I guess authority made was one who had the decisions or whatever. He was authorized to do whatever. But if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. Whether it was common or this or that or whatever, the fact is, why would you do that? Because when you look today at what how much money it's being made of these companies, these companies, it doesn't. I thought you invest in the stock market in order to make money. You understand? Why did you? To me, as I said, someone told the central bank or told whoever these people are that the world was coming to an end. You understand? And the thing is, if you had to invest in these companies, right? And you can educate me if I go off, right? The thing is, it was not as if you didn't have the financial cash had borrowed. You had so much money because, with the pandemic, with the fund or whatever, you had the money to do that, right? So to see where we could have been today, had we had, or maybe even if you didn't want to hold on to all of them, some of them, you could, we would have been, in a way far better. We would have been looking pretty and smiling, even FTX jamming now.
Listen to me, caller, and I tell you this, right? Listen to me, I want you to listen to me carefully. during the pandemic, right? Amazon is one of the only companies that was functioning because people couldn't travel, right? I just want to show the Bahamian people a side that wasn't mentioned. Amazon was one of those companies that was functioning because limited travel around the world was a problem, right?
Right.
If you could say, you see why that stock going from 2,800 to 3,500? You imagine that going from 2,800 to 3,500? That's all I'm saying.
That's why it's already.
The free national movement should come to me if they respect.
What about the tech companies or whatever? That was a bad. The same way they go through everything that this administration is doing, and all people do the same thing, go over to with a fine-tooth comb and ask questions, bring up past history and past decisions and choices. There's nothing wrong with Mr. Bell and whoever. When they find the thing, they need to bring
everything to the Bahamian people. Not only that, Mr. Bell need to do a service as a patriot Bahamian and come and bring the Bahamian people up to date of every one of them companies who those shares were sold to. Who they were sold to.
I would like to respond to. I'd like to respond to the caller 1 minute.
Yeah, all of me go hold on, Mr. Nolan Johnson.
I'd like to respond to you.
Mr. Johnson,
Hey,
can you find out as far as who these persons, as far as, especially with the Bahamian connection, who has, who were able to capitalize or buy in those shares around the same time?
I will do my endeavor best, but Freedom of Information Act, the Freedom of Information Act is not legislated in this country. They refuse, successive government refuse to do it because they want to continue to control information, and by doing so, you don't have access to it. All right then, no problem.
Okay, thank you, caller. Some things you said, I would agree with. Some things you said, I wouldn't be too quick to agree with. This thing about investing in stocks, that is a very volatile business. We believe because you invest in a stock that miraculous things happens for you because you own some shares in a particular company. You think miraculous things happen. That's not the case. That's not always the case. First of all, we don't know. Me and my colleagues sit here at this table. How many years maybe National Insurance may have suffered a loss investing in those companies? Because all those companies did not do well every single year for 10, 20, 30 years. We need to be mindful of some things. Decisions of investing and divesting is what you call decision. If I may have, I repeat, if I may have as an investor on the stock market, we've gone through a famished period and saw after 3, 4, 5 or 6 years a bright spot. I may say, this is maybe time for me to get out. I may say, this is time for me to get out, while someone else is saying, this is time for me to get in. Let's not think this thing is just what you call strictly black and white, it's this or it ain't. It's not that like that at all.
Gee.
This is a very volatile business. Okay, it's all right. It's volatile. Which means that we need to be real careful on how we project that volatility to the public, because the public may say, oh, that sounds so well. And that's exactly what it is.
But I mean, just take some of these calls on the board. The board is completely lined up. Primetime in the better, nigga.
Hey, President Marlon.
Yes, sir.
Let me give you some advice and some education to the public. Everybody has a smartphone, so should not be no ignorant to any topic matter that any Bahamian who is listening to the show. Go and Google Wall Street and Google how stocks and shares are traded daily, monthly, yearly. I paid attention to the presentation by Minister Bell, and then I calculated and said, I'll move the in. How many value of each one of those shares has dropped You see, the people sitting in the Bahamas that bought the share national insurance had to go buy it through some broker houses or broker firms, how you buy here, our port, Commerce, etc., etc. So they didn't go and buy shares directly from these companies. They go through a brokerage firm. And so each brokerage firm will have a portfolio manager that manages X amount of shares. And so you have good information now, the opposition need sensitive information now. Try their best to bring to the public on the value of the share from March 1st, when the share value, and then COVID came, how drastically those companies' share value have dropped. Some maintain a good positive value for a short period of time, and then they drop, and then they came back up in the last two and a half years. But a good portfolio manager will tell you, sell. So it might be in the country's best interest. If you have 10 million in shares in Amazon, and let's just use Amazon for an example, and all indicators, because this is really scientific, all the matrices and software that watch shares, or if you go to some of these rich people out that made money from shares, they get a TV on 24 hours. They communicate with brokers, their brokers, every minute of the day. And so the broker or the portfolio manager will call, will tell you, listen, this share is going to lose 50 cents. You get $10 million in share, you do the math on 10 million times, or 50 cents per share. And if you get, let's say you get 100,000 shares, that the multiplying effect of your loss is significant when you look at so many shares they would have bought. Excellent exercise by Mr. Bell. It's good for us to know what's going on in our country. It's good to know why we are failing and why we're succeeding. And information power, but the other day they need to educate themselves on every topic matter so they can be well informed. They have a smartphone in their hand, every day texting, all kinds of spiritual, who's skiing, who's shooting, and all that. Just Google how shares are bought and sold daily, worldwide.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, caller. I think
listen.
I appreciate that very much, and that went, I endorse everything you just said, and it's so pertinent to the topic at hand right now today. So thank you very much, and do enjoy the rest of the evening.
I'll tell the caller this. I had a life and medical insurance with Clico, right? The in Trinidad or Barbados decide to invest the money from our policy and the value of our policy on the Florida stock market and then on the housing market. When the housing market collapse, Clico fall. So Bahamians understand stocks and bonds. I end up losing my insurance. I lose my Emerald medical insurance. What is pegged at $2 million. I lost my life insurance for $250,000, right? With Clico. Because the money from Clico was sent to Barbados or Trinidad and invested it in the stock market. The Bahamian people, based on the statements and rumors that came out of Barbados or Trinidad, where he's from, was that he's being paid $90 million a year, right? And investment was in the stock market in Florida. And when the housing market collapsed, Clico gone belly up. Right. Clico went belly up. So the Bahamian people understand it, because I give you an example where the stocks fall. And I give you an example, and Keith Bell gave the Bahamian people an example where the stock went up. And I gave another example where the stock didn't value nothing because the agreement that was there for them, administration drew up, where preferred shares for the 21 families on our key get a guaranteed 10%, which is amounts to $100,000 a year they get for $1 million. And the common shares, a lady at the port who was crying about wasting of time when following the information that the Free National Movement gave, some $3,500 and get what, $120 a year. Primetime independent nigga. I don't, but the laboratory is right up. Go to the next one. Primetime independent nigga. Go ahead, caller. I've been holding too long. Primetime independent nigga. Go ahead.
Hello, remember with the Gulf Union War, you had people who were speculating that gas and oil was going up. what happened, the stocks took a deep plunge and a lot of people lost money.
Right.
Stocks and shares, that can change within seconds. It can go up or down. So it's only pure speculation, and the broker watches goes on and he speculates as to which direction it is going. But like you said, with the F&M and selling the shares and whatnot, we don't know what is the trend or what is the insight or what is happening as to why they came to that conclusion. It might have been they said that, hey, let me get something now because this thing may go a lot better.
What thing will go about? You had about the best top 500 companies in the United States, and you sell all?
Yeah, but when you look at it, you gotta ask, was this a personal agenda or was it the interest?
No. The question I humbly put to you is, can the Bahamian people be fortunate enough to know every company that bought those stocks?
Then you have to do some homework to find out what were these stocks named? Was it personal or was it bought under the auspices of the Bahamian people's government?
No, the government ain't buying it because the government's the one that sell the stocks.
Caller, just give me a minute. Caller, you're absolutely right. And let me piggyback on what you're saying. The question of trying to find out exactly who bought those stocks is totally irrelevant, and more than likely too pain-stricken to even try to find out who bought those stocks. Because when you purchase stocks under a certain portfolio, rules and regulation that governs the selling of those stocks. And like I said to my co-host or my colleague, that there are also times when you cannot just sell your stock, go and you would have to find out. It may be a clause in your agreement that says you have to sell them back to the company before you can sell it to anybody else. And the kind of stock that I think National Insurance was buying, I believe they may just have fallen under those kind of restrictions that you just can't arbitrarily sell your stock to whoever you feel like you want to sell it to. But I'll say this, and I remember back in '82, in one of my economic classes, I did a paper on global banks, IMF and the rest of them, and how their policies impact the nations they say they're trying to help. And I made a bold prediction in one of those classes by saying, at that time in '82, the stock market was around 890, 895, less than 1,000. And I had predicted by the time I graduated it'd be 850, but it didn't. It rose. Because all the indicators at that time showed that there was nothing in sight to revive the stock market. All these Fortune 500 companies was losing their shirt, pants, underwear, t-shirts left, right, and center. And that's when they had, at that time, if my memory serves me right, they had the inflation impact around 81, 82, 83 in the United States. Come on, guys. Let's be realistic. The movement of stocks, especially on the stock exchange, is not as concrete as one would like it to be. That's why people buy and sell, sometimes impulsively, and sometimes, like the caller said earlier, under the direction of the person who works. Broker said, I think it's time to get out.
Consultant.
I think it may be best to get out now at this time. This is not no...
Get out of all the companies.
Even if that is the case.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. What I'm saying is, we don't know if that was the case when that happened.
We'll take our second and final break. You have a call on the line before I go to the break. Caller, go ahead, you're live. Just in case you're on a cell phone. Go ahead, caller. All right. Listen, I hear you, and I agree with that particular statement you said, that maybe the company that owns the stocks by the purchaser, I agree with you, it might be that. But I want this administration to bring and lay the papers on the table showing that these stocks was purchased by the company who owned the stocks. I want every one of them companies, the Bahamian people need to know that these stocks, like how you say, was sold back to the same company. That's all we asking. We're going to take our second commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation of the investing of every single one stocks from National Insurance in 2020 under the administration that failed and didn't care. You, the Bahamian people who own the stocks, are aware of what they was doing after.
Cancer. It's a word no one wants to hear. But at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we hear it every day. It's a word we've dedicated our lives to overcoming by changing the way patients are treated. And now we're part of City of Hope, which is one of the nation's top 10 cancer hospitals. Together, we'll combine leading-edge clinical research with precision cancer treatment, so we can be there when you need us most. So when you hear the word cancer, there's another word that should come to mind. Hope. Call now.
Back live at the Great Two Love Race. This is the finest leg of Primetime with Independent Thinker. Special guest and co-host tonight is Mr. Nolan Johnson. We're talking about the stocks that I played a soundbite at the beginning of the show from one of the government ministers where he stated some revelation, shocking breaking news, revelation of assembly that the Free National Movement Administration, when they was in power, based on my understanding, my limited information, that they sold 100% of the stocks, that the valuable stocks that the National Insurance, the company that collects your money every month, where your money go into when you work, your labor was supposed to be for your pension, and they have an investment portfolio in National Insurance that takes the money, a portion of the money, and invests it in strong companies that you don't hear no frivolous company investing natural. Them name what he called was strong. Amazon, Facebook, Wells Fargo Bank. You listen to them, they're JP Morgan, right? Google, right? You go on Proxy Gamble. Proxy Gamble is a company that makes all those shit. We take some of these calls tonight. Prime Time Independent. Hello? I wonder you must be all too long. Prime Time Independent, go ahead, caller. Hello? Prime Time Independent, go ahead, caller. Good.
Just keep an eye on the board.
Yeah, I'm doing a bad job. I want to apologize to the callers who, because they continuously call and I can't. But I tell you this,
You got to
and
find
I want to give.
You have to engage them.
So
Let's
back
engage
again.
them.
I want to give some information on reference to that market that caused me lost my insurance. And not only that, the Free National Movement at the time tell the Bahamian people to continuously pay your CLICO insurance premium. And I did it, and I think I carried it for about 4 years. I keep continuously paying. And everybody said, man, stop paying that, man, don't follow them. But I trusted the Free National Movement administration. I continuously paid, and what happened, I stopped. And when I stopped, it really proved I should listen to them a long time, because guess what? To this day, there hasn't, based on my limited information, and I ain't see it in the newspaper, I hasn't maybe been out, so I'm just going to put that disclaimer in there. Based on my limited knowledge, CLICO hasn't been wrapped up, finalized. Because I hear because I think it's Tilly Gomez was the accounting firm that was the court or the government, whoever,
The government
had appointed to do liquidation. And to this day, now they may have been finished for 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years ago. To this day, I hasn't heard them saying, okay, this is all they have, this is the value they have. So all that time I was spending my money was a total waste of time following the free national movement. Waste of time and waste of money. And that's like how I follow them and take the vaccine. I end up at doctor's hospital for 1 week with blood clot to the lungs, following the free national movement. They continuously making the bad and worthless and good for that decision. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I let out some information in reference to the port, just to educate a few Baymans who care to try to understand. That's why I bring certain things down to the literal meaning. And I use an example with the port. I use the falling of the market, the Florida housing market with Clico. All these just examples I use, right? Do you think the free national movement selling the 100% of all investment was a good idea?
First of all, I would consider the question in that context you just asked as a loaded question. And I could say yes or I could say no. Right now, I'm devoid of all of the information that was given to those persons who would have made that decision, whether to retain some or sell some, and which to retain and which to divest from. But if I answer it otherwise, I might say, well, would a reasonable person make that decision conclusively just like that? And one may say, yes, they would, and one may say, no, maybe they shouldn't. And that's where we are right now today. Was it best? And you know, one of the things we are totally devoid of is what kind of activity or what kind of benefits that national insurance received from all of those over a 10-year period from 1 year to the next. That's a rhetorical question. I don't expect you to answer that. But it's a question I'm throwing out because we don't know all of the total facts to that. So to make a fair comment as to what should or what should not have happened, I am not in the best position to say this is what really should have happened.
I'll tell you this, what happened during 2020 before the general election. The stock market for oil had plunged down to negative $32, I think. Negative $31. Negative. First time in its history. The oil market went to negative, meaning that they'd have been paying you to buy oil, to get oil from them. That's how bad it was. That's when the free national movement supposed to show their brilliance. Buy the oil stock. There was negative $32. Negative 32. Right?
Yeah.
Right now, hold on, man. Right now, oil may be, what, $90 a barrel, $80 a barrel, $106, $102 a barrel. I'm not sure because I hasn't checked it today. But when the free national movement administration is in power, the first time in history, it happened where oil went negative. That was a perfect time to hedge the fund. On my show, and I'll play it, where I asked the free national movement government to please buy some oil stocks. I begged them. And I know stocks and broker man. I went to navigation school, mechanical engineering, and law school. I never did finance, but I had enough sense to know if the stock for oil would usually be 86, 96, $102 a barrel, gone to negative, that was the perfect time for the government to buy the stocks.
Okay, let me.
And they refuse. I want to fight. See, they don't have a hedge fund for fuel. And man, listen.
Let me say this.
When it was negative, you're supposed to buy.
Let me say this.
It's
Let me say
all
this.
them good stuff.
See, let me say
Don't
this.
make nonsense.
You know, and I'm happy that you disclosed that. But you know, people that controls a commodity also determines what happened with that commodity. It may appear to you that you're getting a fire sale, may not be a fire sale that you're really getting because they control it. It may appear to you that, oh, this is what's really happening, but they controls it. So when you're in the stock market, and that is what happened, you made reference to the housing market, quote unquote, in Florida. But the housing market did not only stay, quote unquote, in Florida. That was a global bust because of the greed. And these people who control certain things, create an environment that can cause those kind of catastrophes. They can cause it. Do not sit back and think that you as a consumer in charge or in control. The people that controls oil are in control. Not you. Not the Bahamas in this context that the Bahamas could do. No. Let's be mindful of that. They control the environment that we going to buy and sell at.
326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477, 322-5477. I'll say this. Bruce, could you, I don't know if you could Google, if your phone could do, because any other signal that usually go down when I come on. If you could Google what's the barrel oil on the stock market, but during 2020, right, during the pandemic, the oil went negative 32, but see what the barrel is today, but for a barrel of oil on the stock market in the United States, stock market on oil. And I'll tell you that they rebound from negative 32. If they were still at 32 negative, mean that light would be it'll be free. You will only have to pay the cost for people to wait, because the oil will be free. When the shipping companies will be free. What's the stock market is?
$81.
It's $81. So if the free national movement, they take a advice from a stupid person like me, who ain't got no education in stock market, it was negative 32. That means the stock was below the value of dollar. They'd have been getting 80 what?
$81.58.
$81.50 per those stock they gonna buy. They didn't buy it, but they take.
You have to.
I will let the people know this. 326-8255, 322-5477. They take $56 to $60 million from our national insurance, the same national insurance, to buy cornflake to feed black people during the pandemic. Mr. Johnson, it's the decisions that people make that will cause Bahamian people to continuously paying taxes upon taxes. That's because the decisions they make can make your life hard or better. That's all the questions about you. Is important for the people to know who these stocks are? Yes! Because those decisions only might, there's no facts, might have been sold. So some people who are privileged to this, they never tell people they sell it. Why they tell people they sell it? Because maybe the people who buy it were some people who are maybe,
Listen. In the Bahamas, you spoke earlier.
I don't know who buy it.
You spoke earlier about a few families that controls the port.
Well, that was created. 21 families.
You speak to those person who controls the port.
Yeah. But all the main families, some of them are companies.
I say you speak to the people who controls the port.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Whether they're all family, whether they're not all family.
Companies.
But when you speak to the people or entities or companies that controls the port. In the Bahamas right now, and you trying to suggest or presuppose that information is so easy to get, including in the Bahamas. You're proposing that the Bahamians need to know who those shares were sold to on the stock market back and say, listen, but we have difficulty to determine who are these real shareholders that owns the port. We may have difficulty ascertaining that. I say we may have difficulty ascertaining that. Yet you're saying the Bahamian people need to know what happened under different rules and regulation in another country. But I'll say this to you. If you right now, after you get it from here, wants to find out who may have purchased those shares in terms of individuals, it might be easy to do so because the law allows you to look at those records and find out. It's not so easy here in the Bahamas. Getting information on what our government does in this country is not an easy venture.
But you would think, Mr. Johnson, that
I would think getting information on the government of the Bahamas, where I pay taxes, should be easy than getting information on what happened in New York and Wall Street.
So you agreeing with me
I
that the
didn't
Free
agree.
National Movement should tell the people
No,
who
listen to me.
that they're selling the shares
All I'm
number
saying,
one,
all I'm saying to
who
you
will
is,
buy those shares from each company.
all I'm saying to
You
you
don't think
is,
there should be
all I'm
available
saying- all I'm-
information?
All I'm saying to you is,
You know what they do?
all I'm saying is, if I have difficulty getting,
You know what they-
listen to me. If I
Yeah.
have difficulty getting
Sick.
information right here at home where I pay my taxes,
Yeah. 326-8255, 326-8255. You know what they did? They created one little flimsy thing, but Freedom of Information Act, right? They appointed a commissioner who's a former retired judge. Give him the post, and I believe, now, and he said, I believe that they paid him a salary, and he said he got a desk with no computer. This is the guy that, in 2020, the Free National Movement created that. They gave him a desk without a computer on it. And over there,
but why successive governments can't make this right though? But why successive government can't make this right?
I'm
Freedom of
calling on
information.
the PLB.
No, why
to
we can't
fix
make it
the
right?
problem that they have for them left with that. Fix it.
They don't
They have the power to fix it.
They don't have the backbone
I
to do
believe
it.
they'll do it.
They don't have the
I
backbone
write
to
it
do
down in my book.
They
I'm
don't
going to
have
believe before the January election is called.
No, they don't have
We
the
have a
backbone to do it.
true, functioning freedom of
No
information.
government in this country has the backbone.
Commissioner,
No government in this country has the backbone
to deal with that.
to deal with that. None. After all the promises from individuals who were aspiring and who some succeeded, nothing was done with that particular act.
You know, I been complaining about Cable Bahamas internet service every time when I say come on air, 7:30 the news over, 7:31 internet's go down. To limit my information to the baby people. I come up there at 9 o'clock. 9:01 the internet come back up. Right? For years this happened for me, right? And a young fella from Andres, 50 years old from South Andres, from the bush, right? So he like and that's what happened. Coincidentally for years happened to me. Unfair. And I can blame it, right? So I said, man, let me go check, see who owned Cable Bahamas, why they doing this to me. And you go by the government publication on East Street Course from Officer Sons. I go on there. The purchase, the Cable Bahamas shares, and who's the preferred owners, and who's the common shares, and there's no document there. So if you need it, you go to the office of the Prime Minister.
But that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm
That's
making.
the kind
You
of
are asking-
nonsense in this country that we as Bahamians
So I
who
challenge
continuously go to the poll
I challenge
like a
you.
mule.
I
and
challenge
vote for
you.
people
I
who
challenge
care.
you from where you sit. I challenge you from where you sit because you have the platform to reach every voter in this country. I challenge you to make that.
I can write that down too.
Don't write. I don't want you. I don't want you to write it down.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
want
write
you.
it down to regurgitate it
You're
sometime.
young, and you only have Alzheimer's yet. I want you from where you sit because you have the platform to reach voters in this country, and explain that to them and why is it necessary that should be done, regardless of who is the PM.
I'll tell you this. But the limited information that they gave you in House Assembly, I don't know if it's, I think when some question was put to the former Minister of State of Finance, at the time it was the Honorable Chihuahua Lang, and they asked him some question in reference to Cable Bahamas. Some payments were made from the Treasury, from the government approved, some $15 or some $1 million, or that amount, or around that amount, or some millions of dollars were paid to Cable Bahamas. And the questions was asked, how is it that the government is paying Cable Bahamas when part of the contract of the 15-year monopoly was that every school, every hospital, every library, every clinic, right? Every hospital, every clinic, all these government buildings that Bahamians supposed to have internet and cable TV, right? But we was paying them, if we start to pay them based on my limited information that they wouldn't have Freedom of Information Act to check this, we begin paying them for services that they was rendering before the even 15-year monopoly was up. will it be a breach of the agreement if that was so happening before then? The 15 years would be no other cable company could come in this country based on our limited information that they had a monopoly, right? Limited information that they had a monopoly. And based on my mind, memory, thinking that the 15 years was enough, and we start paying them. The things would happen in this country. It only can happen in the Bahamas. And sometimes it gives you the impression that it's not, that Bahamas is not a real place. It's not independent, I sure that, but it's not a real place. Because how we allow, and we just go like a mule back with a rope tie right next to the pole, and just put people in without even putting these things back to them. Saying, mister, I ain't waiting for no one until they answer these questions. Will I get this? What is your view on that? Who do this, who do that? They bragging today. They bragging. I never seen nothing that's happening in the world where members of parliament bragging say they ain't disclosed. And the law said, if you ain't disclosed by March 31st, you can be arrested. And they bragging saying they ain't disclosed because they ain't care. What kind of country you running?
There is something that I saw that says something like this. I'm going to paraphrase it. That needs causes people to become slaves. I read that little thing like a number of times to try to digest what is being said and in the context of how it was written. And not until the next day I went back and reread it, I started to digest what it's really saying. And again, I'm going to paraphrase. It says that when people are treated adversely, they're more likely to become slaves to the person making out the treatment.
I tell you this, 326-8255, 326-8255, 322-5477, 322-5477. I tell you this, for years, and I went down, this might be, God willing, my last year on the radio.
Last year. We come back again next year. What's the problem? You come back next year. You and I will be back again next year.
Mister, I tell you this, February 3rd is my birthday. I'll be 50. I think I could go no further than that.
You have an obligation to Bahamian people.
Yeah, but I've been
here
14 years. I've been here 14 years. People complain, but the PLP, they complain about the FNM. And when the election, they ring the bell. I put all my heart, soul, knowledge, time, energy, helping the DNA form, helping the DNA prepared, pop up to a plan, and they go on a poll and vote the same thing. So
your job is just beginning. The job is just beginning. Your job to inform the Bahamian people is just beginning.
My brother, I live a life like this, and I realize this, that in life, you could do your best to try show people the light, or even give as much information that you could. Get them all sides so they could choose. But it ain't gonna cost them if they don't want to change, a pivot, or whatever, adapt, whatever word you want to use. Because I done tried
But look at the people you impacted. Look at the people you impacted who may have pivoted.
It ain't enough. But the numbers are outnumbered for the persons who follow color, who follow tradition.
But that's a start somewhere.
Because listen, I asked you, I'm going to give you a question when I used to ask on the show years ago. How is it that thousands and thousands of Bahamians in this country, they have family who are brilliant, because everybody have brilliant people in their family. Everybody ain't brilliant in the world, everybody ain't brilliant in the Bahamas, but everybody have pockets of persons in their family, either their ma, their pa, their uncle, their brother, their sister, or somebody in their family who's brilliant. How is it that election cycle in this country is usually 5 years, and your family never be called upon to give an opportunity to be a part of the governance of your country? through the Senate or board. Or something. You continuously work with the same people.
You don't know
Who
why?
continuously put the same people back in
Right.
charge on the board.
Right. You don't know
Who put the
why?
same people back? Who got Bahamas there? The PLP right now, tonight, I believe, honestly, in my heart and soul, will show a profit for Bahamas there. I might tell you this,
Okay.
before the general election is called, the Bahamas there will, if they continue on the trajectory that they're operating now, will show a profit.
Okay.
But we continuously putting the same people
Let
who
me
got
answer your
Bahamas
question.
there in the position there.
Give me a chance to answer your
Back the
question.
power, but the
Give me-
PLP, I think
give me-
PLP
give me a
had a
chance.
perfect opportunity
Give me a chance to answer
to
your question.
show Bahamas there.
Give me a chance
in
to
this
answer
country.
your question. Give me
Go
a
ahead.
chance. You know something? And what you just said is very poetic. Very poetic. Nothing short of that. Here's the role you need to play in all of this.
Why you don't call it
Listen to me.
roll?
Listen to me. You see, you're throwing things out, and which is good. What I'm saying is, my challenge to you is another one, simply this. And I said this to you before. The next time election comes around, I want you to have no politician sitting in this chair I'm sitting in. Have someone who is a constituent and let them tell the politicians what they're looking for in a politician.
No, I ain't gonna wait till the election. 'Cause people gotta have an election. You have,
Okay.
you have to start
Do
that
it
now.
next week.
We go.
No,
No,
but
my
I'm saying
producer
that-
is plotting.
Okay,
they're
that's
plotting
right.
to hit the road.
But do you understand what I mean?
We
But
got that.
But do you understand what I mean?
It costs me if we don't hit the road.
But do you understand what I mean?
I understand you. I hear you.
Let us
So
start.
we have to change. I kind of show on the road. Tell the people.
The script,
I got to do
listen,
that.
the
because
narrative
they
has to be
people-
changed. The
It ain't
narrative,
that easy.
the political narrative has to be
They're
changed.
distracted by the internet.
But the political narrative has to change. You have a platform that can help to change that. I don't say it will automatically change or change easily. What I'm saying is, you and others who sit in that host seat have to stop pandering, because we feel, I mean, I say we, what do you say, hyperbole speaking, we feels like only the politicians can tell us what is best for us in this country.
Yeah, but
I didn't
I
say-
been telling what's best for the
Listen,
last 14
man,
years.
listen, anyone listen to you? Because what happened is, you need to now get that mum or the Cat Island, that mum or the North Andres, South Andres, Auckland's, Exuma, and say, come and tell us what you think is need, you all probably need, what is best for you in this country. But we all believe the aspiring politician is the one best to do that.
Well, I aspire politician.
I didn't say you are. I said the one that sits in the front of you.
Johnson, I've been working
with
about 15.
Man, no man, don't get it. Don't
I
get
will
it.
be 50 on the 3rd of February.
I'm speaking to the person
2020,
who sits.
2025,
I'm
God
speaking
willing.
about the person
allow
who
me that
sits in
privilege.
this. Listen, I'm speaking
All
to the
the
person
time.
who would sit in this chair
I
as
agree,
your
so.
guest on this show, as I am tonight. I'm saying to you is, we need now to find those other people who would tell the politicians, this is what I'm looking for in a politician.
You know what concerns some people? You know, some people, persons who find out who I was. And we end up getting friends. You know what he said? A couple of them said to me, I mean, over the years, Johnson, why you going on the radio? You could use that time to do something else and this, and what you trying to do? Why you can't see these people, I mean, want no change, they like bad treatment, they like abuse, they like this and that. Just, Johnson, you could
That's
go
what telling
study
me
something else and
that's what telling me
get
this
another
misled,
degree.
bad treatment.
But I say, I must go study something else, go do another degree. I say, no, I ain't even forever. So if some people believe like I can stay here, not me.
True.
I do 35 years without 1 day vacation. Never take a day off. Hurricane, I don't wait. I was tying rope, trying to stop the bathroom, getting popped and loose and run up on the reef or something. I never take a day off in 35 years, never on vacation. And you think I can sit here for another 15 years
Another 15.
trying to tell
Five
people,
more.
just
Until after the next election. Until after the next election.
I want to wrap up. I give the last word. I give the last word. You follow the time. I give the last word. And reference in your view. But the transaction that happened in reference to the proxy gamble, Microsoft, Facebook, all them good stocks. You think it was a good idea, and you think if you was in the chair, you might have made the same decision if you had to make the call.
Well, again, I would say another loaded question, but I will answer it the best I can. I would have probably made the decision based on the information that I was given by my broker or my agent. That information may not have been the best at the time, but that information could have also been predicated on the movement of those stocks over a period of time. Be it as it may, decisions have to be made, and sometimes you, as the owner of stocks, based on the information you get, is like, make a decision now. You don't have time to ponder one way or the other. We can't wait until next week because we don't know what next week would bring. But in the meantime, if you were to look at it in, from a point of view that, well, maybe I'll divest of 60-70% of all of the stocks combined, notwithstanding to say which to keep, but divest 50-60% could have been a better idea.
I'll tell you this, and I'll end with this. I think, personally, it was a bad and worthless and dumb decision as usual. When you're going to give persons a 150-year lease, when you're going to give a company from Cayman Island the authority and the privilege to sell water to a water company in the Bahamas, when you're going to allow a cable company, a wireless company, a phone company to buy a next company, leave money in the bank, put the pension burden from the employees on the black poor people treasury in this country. Continuously bad decision, bad decision, bad decision. I think their advisor, whoever advised them or consult them or broker or agents, I think they did a disservice to them, and they make the free national movement look untoward with these decisions because, number one, why the agent ain't tell them the best idea is to buy some stocks? You're selling these good stocks. Oil, the world have to use oil. Solar is not prevalent in the world. Solar is very useful, very good, but the level, the amount to get solarized the world right now take another 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So oil must sell until the world reaches that level. So oil will always be a good stock. Buy some of them stock with negative 32. And today, payment people like bill will be so low, you'll be able to carry rates off the floor. I will end with a quote from Great Lakes and Linden Pilgrim. If Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight and defend their own Bahamas, then they don't deserve to have it.